Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We're also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are revealing our early 2026 award winners. In June, Jeff, we are going to go through the MVP, Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and First Coach Fired predictions for the upcoming season. And we think we're so smart, we're going to predict it this early.
Absolutely. And we usually get one or two right. So see if we can get a few more this year.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll nail them this year. But first, Jeff, we got some league news out there we have to do some reporting on. Why don't you take us over to San Francisco?
There's been quite a bit since we last recorded. And as you mentioned, San Francisco decided they did not want running back Sincere McCormick that they had signed a few weeks ago. So they released him. And it's interesting it happened during this time because also revealed was San Francisco's running back Isaac Guerendo revealed to get a...
Yeah, that's not ideal. I wonder if they'll bring McCormick back.
Right? I mean, they have James Jordan and CMC and Juszczyk, so they might be hurting for running backs. They typically are each year, other than Christian McCaffrey that stays healthy about half the time. So it will be interesting. But while some teams are cutting, like the 49ers, the Giants have decided to add a plethora of wide receivers to their corpse, and we have them getting Odell Beckham Jr., Braxton Berrios, and Juju Smith-Schuster. I know you love a Juju.
Well, I was just thinking the English language is very, very interesting because you said their corpse, and I was like,
Yep.
as in deceased corpse or corpse as in a corp of wide receivers?
I mean, it both fit in this one, so not to be punny, but yeah.
Juju is just a roster filler at this point. I mean, Berrios has some special teams appeal, but other than that, doesn't really add much as a wide receiver. Odell Beckham is more of a big name and reunion for fans. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but bringing in 3 wide receivers like this, to me, signals all's not well with Neighbors' recovery in this time frame coming back. So I think Neighbors will probably miss time at the start of the year.
You're already ready to put your stamp on that. I think it's more for camp because I don't think Neighbors is going to be 100% go for camp, but you gotta have Dart throwing the ball to somebody.
Right.
Right. But to make room for these 3 receivers, they cut kicker Jason Sanders, who they had signed back in March. But he ends up moving across the hall and signs with the Jets. So he didn't go unemployed for too long. I still don't know what the Giants are going to do at kicker. And honestly, it would not surprise me at this point if Harbaugh doesn't reach out to his old buddy, Justin Tucker, who freshly served his suspension last year to be the kicker for the Giants this year.
You think they're flip-flopping kickers? Is that what you think?
Maybe. Tucker is unsigned free agent right now, so he's a guy that I don't know if anyone else would touch other than Harbaugh.
Well, I don't think that they'll bring on Justin Tucker. He was already losing his feel for the game. Not much touch left to his kick.
Oh, right.
Nobody.
I won't touch that.
No holder wants to hold his ball for the extra point. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair. That is fair. But the Jets here made a Young Hoku was a corresponding move in releasing him. So I think they have Cade York and Jason Sanders now the Jets. So that I don't know how much of a kicking battle that is at this point. I feel like Sanders is probably the shoe-in for it. I think York deserves his shot at kicking for a team, especially a lower team. But I don't think that'll happen this year at this point. But yeah, kickers are people too. So, but
All this makes me think is, how did I never come up with a fantasy football name revolving around Young Ho?
I don't know.
Feels like
I don't know.
Young Ho's leg or something like that would be something. I don't know. Something.
I'm not sure he was ever good enough to have a team named after.
Well, was it Atlanta that he had his best years
It
in?
was. It was.
Yeah.
It was like if you blinked, you missed it though.
Mm.
But if you blinked and you missed this year, the Giants, a former Giant, former Bronco, former Seahawk, and former Steeler quarterback Russell Wilson decides that he is going to retire from the NFL, or at least say goodbye to NFL for right now. I don't know if this is an official retirement because he's not actually signed with the team, so he doesn't have to file any paperwork, anything like that. But he is going to CBS this year. Do you think this is the end of the road for Russell Wilson, or do you think that, like, what happened with Bo Nix last year? Obviously, this would never happen with the Broncos, but do you think of what happened with Bo Nix last year and Russell Wilson is out there? Do you think they give him a call?
I think he could be an emergency quarterback, but I don't think he would be anyone's choice to even be the number one backup on a team.
No. No, I agree with that, but I probably would have done better in a playoff situation than Jarrett Stidham, but we wouldn't know at this point. But speaking of not knowing at this point, we don't know what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers. More 49ers news here. He was cited for speeding, and he's also released a few videos on socials this week that may or may not hinder his ability to find work in the NFL going forward. So, do you think there's an NFL return on his mind? And if it is, where do you think he ends up?
I think in his mind, he's already on a different team, even though he's still on the 49ers, and the other team would actually have to sign him. There's a lot of steps to get there, but in his mind, he's already on a different team. It's just the 49ers holding him back from being great or something. I don't know, but his speeding issue, I was annoyed about it already when it happened a while back. But most people kind of either said he's crazy for posting this video and not right in the head then, or it's not a big deal, it's just speeding. But then now he has a warrant out for him for it because he filmed evidence that he broke the law and released it like an idiot. And he's been attacking the 49ers on social media and not reporting. All he has to do is report and force the issue. That's all he has to do.
I know.
And supposedly the conspiracy is the 49ers canceled some practices so he couldn't report yet. I don't know if there's any truth to that at all. I just know the 49ers are done with him being on the team, but they're going to yank his chain because he yanked their chain.
Yeah, I think they both are liable in this situation because I do believe that they both have poked each other quite a bit over the years. So this is not a new issue. It feels like he's been in the doghouse before. So I don't know if that was Shanahan's doghouse or what, but he did get the big contract after that too. So
they paid him what he asked for. They offered to trade him to Pittsburgh. He said no to Pittsburgh right before they were about to pull the trigger, and they thought everything was hunky dory and everything was, back on track. And then he decided not to show up for anything after he told them not to trade him to Pittsburgh.
well, he
And
signed the deal after holding out. He tore his ACL and he didn't show up the next year.
I don't understand what's going through his mind.
That time away from the team after he tore his ACL changed his mind, apparently. Or something happened, rubbed him the wrong way, or we don't know. I would love to hear his side of the story, but I'm not sure we would believe it at this point. But
he's not articulating himself well, and he's not giving the best impression right now. And the 49ers are handling it better than he is by just not saying anything at all.
Yeah, they'll continue to get asked about him, though, so it will be brought up from time to time. So they are egging that situation on as well by not resolving it. So we'll see. We'll see if there's resolution or not. I hope there is, but I don't even know how much he has left in the tank. So
All right, let's move to someone who recently tore their ACL, unlike Brandon Ayuk. Talk about Lions rookie Kendrick Law, Jeff.
yeah, in practice, tore his ACL and is out for the 2026 season. He will miss his rookie campaign, and this is absolutely brutal for a young player that needs to be playing right now. So really good for your boy Tesla, though.
Tesla.
Exactly, Tesla to the moon.
Yep.
But
All right. I was gonna say we can move on to the more fun stuff now because we got the business out of the way, the tediousness out of the way, and we can move on to the fun things now. And the Falcons locked up wide receiver Drake London to a 4-year deal. Should be a no-brainer. I think he's now a top 5 paid wide receiver in the league on a per-year basis.
he did push the market.
He's definitely a top 10 wide receiver talent. So I like him. He's the only real bona fide wide receiver for the Falcons right now. So they need him, but they need to get more pieces on the team. Jeff, what do you make of this? And I don't know if you have the numbers somewhere too.
I don't have the numbers. I think it was close to 160 mil over 4 years. But basically, this locks up their stud receiver, as you had said, so they can look for ancillary pieces other than Johan Dotson and Zechariah Branch. I mean, they have some pieces. They have Pitts under the franchise tag, but they're also going to switch their attention over to Bijan Robinson and try to get him extended and locked up, which we know that there's probably a race between him and Gibbs, because the second person that signs will make more money than the first one. So there's some incentive here to be the first team to sign their stud running back. But at the same time here, the Steelers on a big money deal signed their giant tight end Darnell Washington, to a 4-year deal. So they will have him and Freiermuth for the foreseeable future. So that tells me that Mike McCarthy fell in love with Darnell Washington, and I don't think there's another tight end like him in the league. Like, I think he towers over almost everybody.
There's not another tight end like him. There's other blocking tight ends out there. I would love for him to be on a different team. I would have loved the Texans to get him because he's the size of an offensive tackle, and yet at the same time, he's able to catch reasonably well. And the tier, man, he's off the market for a few more years.
Yep. I don't know how a guy that big fractured his forearm last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
One heck of a hit.
I think Darnell Washington are complementary pieces. So I really like them for the Steelers. Gives them versatility in their formations, along with Heidenreich or whoever the young Navy running back is that they just drafted as well. I think replacing Hayward, but they have a lot of flexibility on this team.
Yeah, I like it. I like their two receivers. I like Jeremy Bernard. I like what they're doing. I mean, quarterback, they have two young guys that I would love to see at some point, but we have Aaron Rodgers, one more year, ceremonious one final year. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers, let's flip over to his original team, the Packers. They extend another wide receiver, and this time it is Christian Watson to a 4-year deal. So now they have locked up both Watson and Reed for the foreseeable future. And yeah, they've finally picked 2 wide receivers to hitch their wagon to. So I know they had 6 young receivers at one point. They haven't signed him yet, but we'll see.
Well, he's on a first round deal, so
yeah,
he's basically being paid the same as Reed.
Yep. Last year, though, they had 6 receivers on rookie deals, which is absolutely unheard of. Now they have extended 2 of them and traded one and let one walk. So they let Dobbs walk. They traded Wicks. So they are finally getting a hierarchy going. And hopefully that means there'll be some fantasy relevance of those receivers as long as they can stay healthy.
When it comes to Watson, at first I didn't like the dollar amount, but then I realized that the guaranteed money is very small relative to the contract. So it's essentially like, hey, do it like repeat what you did last year, do it for a whole season, you make all these incentives. Wow. And then maybe a couple years into it we can rework the deal after you prove that, you're doing like you can do this consistently and stay healthy. So it's a total upside move, and if it doesn't work out, they can cut him in a year, maybe two, and it's fine.
Yeah, did we know who
It tells me
got?
Watson's the number one, and what now?
Do we know who got the better of the two deals between Watson and?
Yeah, Watson got more money. 'Cause I think Reed got wide receiver 3 money, and Watson got low end wide receiver 1 money.
Gotcha. Yeah, Reed signed a 3-year, $50 million deal. That's going to end up being a steal.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Because, in my opinion, he's every bit as talented as Watson is. He's just a middle of the field guy, slot guy, and he's shorter, whereas Watson's taller and he's more of a vertical threat. So they do two different things, but I don't think Watson's a dominating wide receiver.
Well,
I like both of them. And then Golden, the big thing with Golden is I always thought he needed more time to progress and he didn't necessarily have the production profile. So he could still emerge as the one in a year or two. But
that's true.
those three as the core are much better than Dobbs and Wicks and whoever else they throw out there.
Absolutely. And we have Reed and Watson signed for the foreseeable future. Watson did sign a deal through this year. So this is a 4-year extension after this year. So he signed through his age 31 season right now with the Packers. So if they decide to keep him, they have him through 31. This is not what you had said. This is not a wait and see type of thing, and we'll renegotiate and extend you type of thing. Like, this takes him through 31.
No. Okay, but what I'm saying is 2 years into it, if he's out producing his contract, they'll basically tear it up and do a new one to give him a little bit more money. That's my guess. Kind of like what the Texans did with Nico Collins and giving him $17 more million. I would imagine there was a threatening of I outperform this, I'm gonna hold out kind of thing in the background that the team just happened to keep quiet. I think the Packers are an organization that would be able to keep things quiet on that front too and eventually work that out.
Absolutely. And if you remember correctly, Watson signed the 1-year extension, I think, last November. So it's interesting that he signed 2 extensions within a 7 or 8 months stretch. So we could see his mindset was changing very quickly. But a guy that signed an extension last year was Myles Garrett with the Browns after threatening to hold out and requesting a trade. Well, the Browns finally obliged a trade this year, and they traded him to the Rams for Jared Verse and multiple picks, including the Rams' 2027 first-round pick, which we know how the Rams feel about first-round picks. They just don't like them. So good trade or bad trade for the Rams? Can't speak tonight.
They're usually good at drafting in the first round if they actually had the first round pick. So I don't know why they don't like them so much. I'm torn with this because I acknowledge that for this year, probably maybe the next year or two, Myles Garrett is a much better player than Jared Verse. But Jared Verse is still a good player. He's a young player. He was a rookie of the year. He didn't have the sack production as you would hope for this past season, but that's not really his fault. And they're giving up a first round pick, plus, I think, a second and a third in the future as well. So almost 2 low first round picks, basically, and Jared Verse, who would probably fetch 2 first round picks if they traded him by himself to somebody else. So almost 4 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, someone who's already in his 30s and likely only has maybe 2 or 3 years left to be at a relatively high level. I mean, he's already started his decline a little bit, but he's going to be on a much better team with the Rams, so maybe that keeps it going. On top of that, this move might have been able to convince Aaron Donald to come back from retirement. So maybe it's a 1-2 punch with veteran defensive players, and that makes it a little bit better. But for the Browns, a team that is still getting younger, this is a huge win for them because they still get a very good edge rusher for their defense, and now they get another first-round pick. Eventually, they'll get some cap clearage from Myles Garrett leaving. I mean, I don't think it's going to be this year, but sooner than just keeping him on the roster. And they did right by him by basically sending him to a contender. And they did right by themselves by sending him to another conference entirely. So both teams get what they want out of this. It's just head scratching considering that the Rams, in my opinion, wasted a first round pick on Ty Simpson when they could have gotten another weapon to win. And then they'd be Super Bowl, like, even more strongly considered Super Bowl contender this year, next year, the year after that. So
yeah, I mean, I gotta challenge you on the he's already on the decline when he set the league record for sacks last year. So I don't know what evidence you have that he's already on the decline when he had the best defensive edge year of anyone all time last year on a team that is trailing and the other team doesn't need to pass almost 80% of the time. Now we'll be on a team that is leading and the other team has to pass 80% of the time. So
I think that Jim Schwartz called plays a certain way to pad stat for Myles Garrett. And I love Myles Garrett. He's the best defensive player in the league. You can debate positionally, I guess, but I think he's the best defensive player in the league. I wish he was on the Texans. I wish he was not on the Browns. It's phenomenal what he did with the Browns. I just think he's in his 30s, and that's not the same as being in your 20s.
that's fair. That is fair. And I do expect him to light it up here in LA in 2026. But I don't think he'll be the defensive player of the year because I think it's hard to win that 2 years in a row.
But I also think that the way that their schedule lined up last year, they had the Bengals and the Ravens that weren't themselves. Steelers were mediocre. Steelers should not have gotten 10 wins. Should not have even gotten 9 wins. There were a lot of teams that had Swiss cheese offensive lines last year on top of Myles Garrett being phenomenal. So I think things lined up that way last year, even though the Browns weren't a good offensive team. But I don't really think the Browns got blown out in a lot of games either. So I don't think
Yeah.
anyone just straight up ran the ball.
I would agree. They trailed quite a bit last season though.
And I
They
think the
trailed.
Browns still have a home field advantage where their home field games are so much better defensively than away games.
That's true. That's true. I think Garrett's going to be much happier where he's at though now, so we'll see what that does to his mentality as well. But speaking of much happier, we hope that wide receiver AJ Brown is much happier now that the Patriots have acquired him for a 2028 first round pick and additional compensation going back to the Eagles. So I know you and I had talked a lot about this trade both here and offline, and this was the exact trade that I thought would happen. And I know you challenged me a bit on it, but here we are, and it's officially official.
I don't like it. But to your credit, you called a first round pick. You were very adamant the first round pick was going to be involved. And in a message you even had, it could even be a 2028 first. I think it's a dumb trade, compensation wise, because the first does nothing for the Eagles now or next year. It's in 2028. And for the Patriots, Brown is already, I think, in his 30s, 31, I think, something like that. No? Is he 29?
29.
Oh, he plays like he's 31.
He's 28. He'll be 29 at the end of this month.
Okay. So he could
I
still be
told you
considered
he's
in his
1 year older than Waddle,
Waddle plays so much younger than him, dude.
but he's never had the season that Brown's had.
They're different stylistic players. Brown is a classic X wide receiver, and sometimes those get a little bit more breakdown and wear on them as they get slower. Waddle's a more versatile wide receiver, and I think he will last longer in the league. If Brown is not actually declining and it was just unhappiness, bad chemistry, bad play calling with the Eagles, and he goes to a much better quarterback as well with the Patriots, then this could be overlooked. It could be overlooked that it was a first round pick. But if he doesn't work out, then you're throwing away one of the very picks you would have to use to replace AJ Brown with another wide receiver. So I don't like how it shakes out. It should have been 2027 pick or a pick from this draft class. So it's weird how far in the future it is.
Absolutely. But we also found out this week that there will not be a big supplemental quarterback coming out this summer. So Brandon Sorsby was granted permission to an eligibility for the 2026 season. All he has to do is miss 2 games on a suspension. So we will see what his 2027 draft stock looks like now.
Don't I don't understand it. I don't understand. One, I don't think it would have gone well for him in the supplemental draft. And two, I don't understand how players can just go to their hometown judge and get them to file an injunction, and that prevents them from losing a year of eligibility when it's. I don't know when legislation can get involved in a club sport and when that club's rules can be enforced. Out of all the things, this is one of the things that they absolutely should hardline. You cannot play this year. You can't bet on your own team, and you definitely can't bet against your own team. It doesn't make any sense. You bet $90,000 in tons and tons of bets through proxies to bet on his behalf, and other people have lost, all chances at playing in the sport for like $5 or $10 bets. So it's kind of disgusting to me that he gets slapped with 2 game suspension and he can play again. And I think if he would have entered the supplemental draft, I think the NFL would have come down harder than what his college punishment ended up being.
Yeah, we will see, but I think he's scheduled for some sort of court date in February, and it's kind of moot at this point because it's after the national championship game. So, because I think the injunction is just a temporary thing, and eventually both sides would be heard and all that stuff, but be after the season at this point.
Yeah. Wow. I don't get it. I like the pettiness of the other teams on the schedule and future teams wanting to completely remove Texas Tech from their schedule. So I get that. I resonate with that.
We will see. But if he does light it up this year, this is going to be one of those no publicity is bad publicity things. So it will only skyrocket him into the top conversations with at least with fans and analysts.
We'll see.
Could be a good
But
quarterback draft.
hey, I don't think Sorsby, I don't know if he is that good of a prospect. There's a reason why he didn't just go the NFL route.
No one is anymore, though. It feels like
Yeah, I feel like if you're a quarterback, you're entering the NFL at 25 now.
it's annoying because I like to play Madden with 20, 21-year-old quarterbacks. Like to get this 20-year career, but here we are now 5 years into it already.
Yeah. Well, we can make more predictions, Jeff. We can move on to our 2026 award segment here and start to use our crystal balls and predict who is going to win these awards. So, it's a little scrambled the way that we did the chart, but Where do you want to start, Jeff?
Let's start with the rookies of the year since we are talking about Sorsby, and he will not be rookie of the year this year. I was looking around here to find a crystal ball, and I can't even find one. So I was going to have a prop here, but no luck.
Would you like to go first on the rookies, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first. There are quite a few rookies that people could pick from this year. Thinking about the 2 first-round running backs in Price and Love, so that's a place that people could go. And then you also have the 3 first-round wide receivers in Tyson, Tate, and Lemon. And then you have Sadiq, also a first-round tight end, and you have Mendoza and Simpson, first round quarterback. Simpson likely will not play at all this season. But I am going to have to go with a player that is going to play the most amount of snaps and be the most meaningful to his team, and a team that is going to compete for a playoff spot, and that is Jordan Tyson of the Saints.
Interesting. I am also going to go wide receiver here, and I'm going to go with Tate, Carnell Tate. And I will say it's because he's going to be the wide receiver one. He's going to immediately show how much of a playmaker he is. I think the Titans will look better than they have the past 4 or 5 seasons with Saleh at head coach and Dable at offensive coordinator and an actual solid weapon for former first overall pick Cam Ward to throw the ball to. Tyson, I think it is a very good candidate as well. He will be second fiddle to Olave. Saints will be competitive and it's a high octane offense. I do think of Tyson as more of a big play guy and not necessarily going to get peppered with targets, and he does come with injury concerns, but he's very electric when he's on the field.
Absolutely, and my concern for Tate is he's going to be competing with targets with Wanda Robinson, Calvin Ridley, Io Manor, DK, and we're not even sure that Cam Ward can support a wide receiver one at this point. And I am sure that Tyler Shuck can support at least two weapons on the Saints. So
I don't think Ridley is going to be interfering with him being a wide receiver one. I don't think Robinson will either. I know Dable has had a quarterback pepper Robinson before, but
he's there.
I don't think that will be much of a case. And DK to me is a deep threat and special teamer. Ayamanor, I still like Ayamanor as a prospect, but he needs Ridley to probably be gone at this point to actually emerge. Tate, I mean, they took Tate high in this draft class, and he is the most well-rounded wide receiver. I love Ohio State wide receivers. In fact, I think one of my RSO leagues I'm acquiring every single Ohio State wide receiver apparently. Yeah, no. I like Tate a lot. I think he's a number one, and I think Cam Ward is going to take a big step forward.
I don't disagree with you that he is the one. In my latest and pretty much final projections, I have Cam Ward throwing for 3,486 yards and 17 touchdowns. And when you spread that out, it's just not enough to support Carnell Tate or any wide receiver into the top bit. So he's going to have to take quite a big leap forward in order to even scratch that for Tate.
Well, I think you're only halfway there on his yardage. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, 7,000 yards.
No, I think he could get close to 4,000. Honestly, I really do.
I mean, Caleb Williams still hasn't even done that for the Bears yet. So.
Well, Caleb Williams isn't as good as Cam Ward.
You crack me up. I got Cam Ward as quarterback. It looks like 27 on the year.
Caleb Williams struggled with an offense with one of the best offensive minds added as a head coach, with one of the best tight end prospects to come out in the last decade, with a Pro Bowl wide receiver and 2 high draft pick wide receivers, had all the talent in the world, and
Who's a Pro Bowl wide receiver for him?
Wasn't DJ Moore a Pro Bowler?
With Carolina, like a half a decade ago. Maybe
He's a Pro Bowler,
two.
man. And not the Shador Sanders type of Pro Bowler. He's actually what was good. So to me, I mean, Caleb Williams still has a lot to prove. Caleb Williams is full of talent, and he makes some really wow throws. But a lot of these fourth quarter holes that he dug the team out of, he put them in that spot to begin with poor play in the first half. So he has a lot to prove, and this is only Cam Ward's second year, I think,
You are right.
and it's Caleb's third. So I think he'll make a big stride this year. And then maybe we'll be debating Caleb Williams and Cam Ward the following year. Who knows?
I mean, I hope so. I didn't see enough last year to be thinking that, but we will see.
Well, we'll see with Dable because it will be a very similar transition where now you have a better offensive guy there instead of Callahan.
That is true. At least he had an offensive guy. He didn't go from like Eberflus to interim coach to Ben Johnson.
Wasn't it Nagy and then to Eberflus?
Maybe, but Eberflus was horrific. I remember the game. I remember the game that got him fired like yesterday, where he just failed to call timeout.
I'm just thinking, would Justin Fields' entire career trajectory have been different if he had a really good offensive-minded head coach and they got the surrounding talent earlier?
Maybe, but he's so
But now,
broken right
now
now.
he's ruined. He's a
Yep.
yeah, he is very broken. All right,
All right.
let's move on to the next item here.
Who is your comeback player of the year, Alex?
I mean, the four guys I was deciding between is Burrow, Mahomes, Daniels, and AJ Brown. I think an injury has to be involved, so I guess that eliminates AJ Brown. I want to say Burrow, but I feel like I say Burrow every season, so I'll go with the obvious choice. I'll go Mahomes.
All right. Patrick Mahomes only missed 3 games last year, so I don't know how much he's coming back from, but
He kind of struggled last year too.
that is true. That is true. And I feel like Neighbors would have been a good one here to put on the list, especially if he starts playing early in the season. And Cam Scatteraboo would have been a good one to have on the list here, but I am going to go Joe Burrow on this one because Joe Burrow played in 8 games last year and struggled a bit. So
it did give them 13 wins. So, I mean, that would make sense. It's assuming he stays healthy. That was the one thing that kept me from picking Joe Burrow besides like, hey, I feel like I pick him every year. I don't know if he can stay healthy.
They're going to rename this the Joe Burrow Award at some point because this is going to be his 3rd Comeback Player of the Year award in his career. And he's not even 30 yet, or he's just 30.
Yep.
So, all right. Offensive Player of the Year. And there's a lot of people to pick from in this one here. You have your Chases, you have your Jackson Smith Ninjigbas, your Puka Nakuas. Those are probably the top 3 receivers coming off fantasy boards right now, at least. And then you also have your Gibbs and your Robinson and your Christian McCaffreys and even your Jonathan Taylors of the world. Like Jonathan Taylor was in the conversation of Offensive Player of the Year until Daniel Jones got hurt last year. But I'm going to double down from my pick last year, and I'm going Bijan Robinson this year.
You're going Bijan?
Yep.
I am going to go Jahmyr Gibbs. Given the final workhorse go ahead.
I still don't believe he's going to have as big of a role as you believe. I think that David Montgomery role will be taken by Isaiah Pacheco, and we will see there.
I don't think Pacheco is the same level of running back as Montgomery, and I think Gibbs is actually going to get the workhorse role.
Can he handle that? He's little.
I still like Bijan. I think that's a solid choice. Trying to think what else here.
He's got the workhorse role too. So his tag team partner of Algier is gone.
Did they bring in Brian Robinson, his cousin?
Yeah, cousin from another mother. Doesn't work.
Cousin from another dozen? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to go with Puka because of his off the field stuff, and JSN, I'm not sure will repeat as offensive player, but Gibbs and Bijan seem like the two likeliest choices.
Well, the rumor is JSN didn't even win an Offensive Player of the Year award. He won a Defensive Player of the Year award.
It's not a rumor. There's a picture of his trophy.
Ah,
I thought it said instead of defensive, I thought the D was an O, and so it was just a really weird spelling of offense. It was like offense.
yeah.
O-E
Someone's gonna get
offense.
fired. Someone is gonna get fired. But do you know who's not gonna get fired? Our Coach of the Year. And who are you going with for your Coach of the Year?
All right. I'm gonna go with. I changed my mind before the show on this. I'm gonna go with Kellen Moore with the Saints. If they make the playoffs, I think he will win Coach of the Year.
Okay, that will be really interesting if that happens. You're gonna
Why
be
don't you tell me why
really,
you picked Mike McCarthy?
yeah, you're gonna be really impressed with who I picked because it's actually one of your favorite coaches, and I think we both have them entering the playoffs as the 1 seed in their conference, and that is one Dan Campbell from the Detroit Lions.
What?
They've gotten worse. They haven't improved really. And we both have them as the 1 seed in the NFC. Like, I don't see, and they missed the playoffs last year. I don't see how that wouldn't be qualification for Coach of the Year.
All right, I'm gonna have to send a wellness check-in on you, Jeff. See if
This
you
is
were
AI.
replaced by AI. Yeah. It's like I don't believe the real Jeff would have said Dan Campbell ever. So
If you look at our 2 1 seeds, we have Joe Brady and we have Dan Campbell as being the 1 seeds in their conference. So one has a MVP style quarterback and the other one does not.
yeah, but I think because the Lions finished so poorly last year, they're gonna have a much nicer schedule, and that may lead them to actually end up winning their division and getting. I don't think I have them the. I don't have the Lions as the 1 seed in the NFC. I have the Rams as the 1 seed in the NFC.
Then pick Sean McVay. I'm just kidding. But yeah, and that's my mistake if you didn't have the Lions as the 1 seed. But I will say that the Lions didn't get any better, in my opinion. They did get worse. They lost Montgomery, they lost Raymond, and those are like strong.
Raymond is not a loss.
Yeah, he is. He's a huge
He's
special
not.
teams impact. He would return 1 or 2 a season. That's a big deal this in the NFL right now. And if you don't think it is, Raheed Shaheed got traded. Like, that was a big deal. Raheed Shaheed is not a receiver for an NFL team. He is pretty much a kick returner that plays 1 or 2 deep snaps a game for offenses at this point and got paid.
Rashid Shaheed is a receiver. Raymond is nothing but a special teamer who masquerades as a receiver. There's not a single return man in today's game that lives up remotely close to the return game of old with Josh Cribbs and Devin Hester and those ilk. No one remotely touches their boots when it comes to returning this day and age. And nowadays, even if they return one to the house, it's usually flukish and not really replicable. So I don't really think he was that great. I think him leaving makes more room for stability with Jameson Williams and now Isaac Tesla. So I really think it's not really going to hurt them. Obviously, if they don't have someone that's serviceable to return the ball at all, then it will hurt them. But I think now most return men across all the teams are basically the same, except for what's his face in Pittsburgh that fumbled the ball.
Caleb Johnson.
Yep.
My mind is
I
sharp,
mean,
dude.
is there a return? Is there a return man this day and age that actually is good? And I mean, like good, like Devin Hester, Cribbs.
No, but the return game has changed a lot. Like kick returns are never going to be what they were. But there's certain players that I have with 2 kick return touchdowns, like Isaiah Williams for the Jets this year, Raheed Shaheed for the Seahawks. So those multiple return touchdowns are a big deal.
I don't know, man. I think the Texans have 7 guys on their roster that are the same or better than Khalif as special teamers, let alone they actually are way better on offense than he is.
Okay. He's got, I think, like 6 or 7 return touchdowns in his career. I mean, that's not anything to scoff over, but I understand that he's not the receiver of Shaheed, not the deep threat that he is. But I have Shaheed getting only 33 grabs this year. Like he is not a receiver in the NFL. 33 grabs, 466 yards, and
Well,
3 touchdowns.
I think he is a receiver in the NFL. I don't think Darnold is that much of a distributor.
That's fair. He knows where his number one is. He knows where his bread is buttered, and he's
Well,
peppered Jefferson and JSN.
he might have to pass more if Price isn't as good as Walker was.
That's true. There is reports that
Surprised you didn't
Charbonnet will be ready in October.
I'm surprised you didn't put Price as your rookie of the year, Jeff. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because weren't you down on his 2026?
Yeah,
Were you
we've
up
already
on his 20, down on his dynasty, or were you down on his dynasty and up on his 2026?
up on his dynasty, down on his 2026, because I think Charbonnet will still be the lead back there for majority of the season.
Even if he's not back until October?
Yeah, I heard that he's only going to miss 4 weeks right now.
Well, I mean, he might miss 4 weeks and still be a little sluggish.
We'll see.
All
We'll
right.
see. I think Emmanuel Wilson will take some early season snaps as well, which we've seen him be able to handle 20 rushes in a game with the Packers. So
Yeah. But back to coaches. I mean, for me, Jesse Minter was in consideration just because they'll go from the Ravens will go from 8 wins to probably 12 or 13 if he's reasonably good. And both Harbaughs are in contention. Although I don't think the Giants will actually win enough for Harbaugh to win that there. And the brother Harbaugh in Los Angeles could win it if the Chargers win their division. I think that's possible, and he will have won it because he brought your boy Mike McDaniel over. Him and his capri khakis and his Gucci sweatpants.
I believe that McDaniel could win the positional coach of the year awards that come out as well.
It's literally the perfect spot for him because I know earlier in the offseason, we've talked about McDaniel a lot over the past couple of years. And I said, I don't think that he's going to get a head coaching job. And you were like, no, he'll easily get a head coaching job. And he might have been able to get the Browns, no problem. But he didn't want the Browns. And as far as if you're going to be an offensive coach, the offense coordinator somewhere, the Chargers behind Harbaugh, the exact coach that he needs to be paired with to kind of change where he is at this point in his career, but still be positive, but have more structure, and then to make their offense better and finally get maybe a playoff win with Herbert and make Herbert the best that Herbert can be. I think that is the perfect way to build his resume back up and to also add some wrinkles and change maybe how he handles being a coach. And maybe this will be really good for his next stop as a head coach.
Absolutely, and we know that'll happen relatively short order. I will say, though, that Dan Campbell, if he wins the coach of the year, like I had said here, he will follow the exact same path that Mike Vrabel did to it last year, having an easier schedule and just dominating that easier schedule. So
yeah, and if Mike McDaniel grows as a coach behind Harbaugh and D'Amico Ryan struggles this year, the Texans disappoint, I would strongly consider blowing it up and having the Texans pursue Mike McDaniel to be their head coach.
My God, is this AI? How much you despised him for a long time, but he was definitely beat down by the NFL media, and yeah, it's good to see him not having to answer to the media every day right now.
I think he's gotten some humble pie. I think had things blow up in his face. I really want to see his growth and development with Harbaugh and actually having a top quarterback to work with. Because I still believe in Herbert. I know a lot of people talk about how he doesn't win playoff games. I believe in Herbert, and I think this is the perfect combination for them. So I'm very curious how it turns out. Obviously, if it blows up, I don't want him. But if it does look good and he looks like an improved coach, then I'm subscribed to the same thing that you do, that most of the time offense wins out over defense when it comes to head coaches, except for, McDonald in Seattle. I mean, if you can prove that you can hire appropriately, then it works. But D'Amico has not hired appropriately when it comes to offense. Anyway, speaking of that, we can transition over to who we think the first head coach fired is. I don't think it's going to be D'Amico because I think that's going to be a season-long thing. So for me, I don't know if you want to go first, but it might be the same guy. Who do you think is going to get fired first?
I went in a different direction than you on purpose because we had discussed about the low hanging fruit here. Did not want to take the low hanging fruit of the New York Jets job, and I went with Shane Steichen from the Colts because it sounded like the Irsay girls were a little fed up with him last year, and they're going to give him a shot to get his act together. And if Jones does not start the year off red hot again, then he's going to be the first one in trouble.
Yeah, I think that is it's a solid choice. I'm gonna go with Aaron Glenn. There's a good chance that Woody Johnson lets him play out the entire year, but I can't imagine that they're good. Arizona's probably going to be worse than the Jets this year, but they just hired their coach, and I doubt that they go one and done. I mean, the Browns could fire their coach Monken after one season. Monken actually could be the dark horse where he doesn't make it because he loses the entire locker room, but I don't know yet. Glenn just seems like the most obvious, and all the other ones, it just depends on how bad it falls apart for them, and it has to be kind of a surprising bad.
I would agree there. I did think if a team was going to be a one and done, it would be Arizona. I mean, I could see Atlanta growing weary of Stefanski in year one if they get worse in year one. So it's just someone is going to get fired after this year. We know there's going to be 8 openings roughly at the end of the year. It's just picking which openings. It could be Joe Brady for what you've said about Joe Brady this offseason. It could be him.
I don't think Joe Brady will get fired. I just don't know if he's going to be a good head coach or not. We just don't know.
Miami could fire their coach if they're going to have as bad of a year as we think they're going to have.
No, I don't think so. I think the owner is aware.
Yeah. That hurts my head, though, considering they fired McDaniel to do this.
Well, they fired their GM as well, and they had to reconstruct their offense. Their roster. They're gonna have a ton of cap next year. A ton.
Yeah.
They'll be a completely different team.
Why put Halfley through the rough year and not McDaniel? It just, to me, it feels weird.
I don't think McDaniel fully had the locker room, so they had to go a different direction. That's why I think
Definitely.
McDaniel he might spend 2 years as a coordinator.
I could see him doing that for his own sanity.
Yeah.
Forget not being offered a job, but I could see him being like, this is way more fun and I'm still getting paid pretty well.
And he lives in warm weather still with lots of beaches. So he and his wife seem to value that.
Yeah, the coldest they'll get in division games is Denver and Kansas City. So, and if they play them early enough, they won't even see the cold weather.
Yep. But now we can wrap up with the MVPs, Jeff. So it's all quarterbacks for me, obviously. And it's between Allen Lamar, Burrow, May, and Herbert as an outside MVP candidate there. It's tough for me because I want to pick Burrow because if Burrow's healthy the entire year and they win 13 games like I think that they will, it should be Burrow. But I'm not a Lamar guy. May, I'm not sure how the A.J. Brown experiment's going to go. So really, for me, it's between Allen and Herbert.
Okay.
I'm not bold enough to pick Herbert, so I am going to go Allen.
Not Tyler Shuck, one of your
No,
boys.
that's very bold. He's going to be fun for fantasy, but wouldn't go MVP yet.
So I'm a little surprised you didn't mention Matthew Stafford. Not even a
He's
mention.
38.
He was 37 last year.
He's 38 and he's due touchdown regression. I don't think he can sustain the red zone touchdowns that he put up last year. That's just insane to me.
I'm surprised Dak Prescott wasn't mentioned, with considering he's got Lamb and Pickens for the majority of the year.
Does he have Pickens? Are we sure Pickens doesn't get traded?
I'm positive at this point there's 0.0% chance unless something falls off the rails.
If he wants a contract extension and they don't want to do it,
I mean, he didn't have to sign his tender.
it's true.
He already did that, so that sounded like he was committed to this year for them, but I could be wrong. Been wrong before. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, of course, always should be lingering somewhere around that conversation. It would kill you, absolutely kill you, if Trevor Lawrence won. We might bring back Jerome on a full-time basis in that case.
I don't think Jerome likes him either.
I know, but I'm not sure you would ever want to talk football again if Trevor Lawrence won an MVP.
If Trevor Lawrence won an MVP, it's because they actually used Brian Thomas Jr.
But yeah, I'm also going Josh Allen as well. Did consider Joe Burrow, but he's got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And honestly, that's two of the top 15 receivers in the league right now. No one has that.
Yeah. I don't see how Stafford can repeat his 33 red zone touchdowns. Like, it's insane to me. Trevor Lawrence had 23 last year. Drake May had 20. Herbert had 20. I don't know.
I have Josh Allen 60 points greater than the second best quarterback with projections right now, just because of the rushing upside that he offers, plus the passing upside.
When he doesn't do his passing touchdowns, he rushes them in himself.
I know.
So he's not going to be on those lists.
He's pretty close. He's anywhere between 40 and 50 total touchdowns this year. And that's a pretty big number for a quarterback.
I think the last year or two, he's proven that he is his team's entire passing offense anyway. Obviously, James Cook has been phenomenal and kept it up despite getting a contract extension, getting paid. So those two are really the pillars of that offense. Maybe DJ Moore can do something. I really like Skylar Bell. It makes them less Shakir dependent. So now they have three wide receivers to work with that are actually legitimately solid. And I still think Kincaid has injury woes, but now there's less pressure on him. It's kind of hard to key on Kincaid with those other three guys there.
Exactly.
So it should open up.
I do.
I know you love Joe Brady and you think this is an opportunity as now the head coach. He doesn't have anyone restraining him anymore. So if there's stuff that he wants to do that McDermott wouldn't let him do, then maybe we'll see this open up more.
Let's go. But DJ Moore does concern me a little bit to prevent him from winning the MVP, because historically we have seen a player acquire a receiver that's perceived to be a stud, and it can hinder his ability to win the MVP, which we have seen before. So, like, if you think Lamar a couple years ago versus Allen, Lamar acquired Derrick Henry and Allen lost Stephon Diggs, and that was probably the difference in the MVP voting right there. So they do look at that.
Entirely possible, but with how his play dropped off, I think if he blows up with Josh Allen, I think they'll still give him the MVP.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that does it for this week's episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy, and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.